smile spread across his cousin's face. He resigned himself to a discussion of the wonders of infants. It did little to distract him from the knife of pain behind his right eye. His fingers twitched, and he curled them into his palm. Graeme, glancing over at James, broke off his effusions. "But I have interrupted you. I apologize. I shall return later." "No," James straightened. "Stay. We are finished here." He turned to Johnson. "Buy Mrs. Hobart some jewellery, a necklace and earrings." He paused. He had been with her for some time. It tended to raise expectations. "Maybe a bracelet as well. You'll know what to get better than I." "Certainly, sir." Johnson paused, then went on delicately. "You'll wish to add a note?" "Oh, yes." That was the last thing he wanted to do, with his head in this vice. But of course he must. It was expected. Seizing a piece of paper from a drawer in his desk, James frowned for a moment over the page, then scribbled a few words and signed it. Hastily he blew on the ink to dry it, folded the note, and handed it to Johnson. Graeme watched the procedure, his face a study in astonishment, and when the agent had exited the room, he swung back to James, saying, "You are, I take it, breaking it off with your mistress?" "Obviously." James lifted a brow. "I don't know why you're surprised. It's been months." "Yes, but I would have thought it's just you're not going to tell her goodbye?" "I just did." "With a note?" "And some very nice diamonds. Believe me, she'll appreciate those far more than a few words from me." He gave Graeme a half-smile. "Don't worry about bruising Ellie Hobart's heart, cuz. She doesn't have one. That's why I choose not to indulge in romantic encounters. There's no emotion involved, only cash. No fuss and no tears." "No affection?" James shrugged. "I don't keep a mistress for affection. Come, sit down. Would you care for a drink? Whiskey?" Graeme agreed, taking a seat in one of the armchairs before the fireplace, as James crossed to the decanters. "What are you doing in London? I would have thought you couldn't tear yourself away from domestic bliss." It wasn't easy. Graeme took the glass James held out to him, his concerned gaze on James's face. "I had to come to the city for business. I already miss Abby and Anna like the devil." "Of course." James knew Graeme was speaking only the truth, astonishing as it was to James that anyone would prefer to live with a squalling infant. "You should see her, James." Graeme's eyes lit up. "A full head of hair, jet black, just like Abby's. She looks like her." James had seen the baby in question, and, as he remembered, she had not looked like much of anyone, only a tiny, red, wailing thing with a madly wobbling chin. He did recall, however, a burst of black hair spiking out all over her head, like the raised hackles of a dog. "It's been only 3 months since you've seen her, but you cannot imagine how much she's grown." Graeme went on to enthusiastically detail the many changes. Fortunately, Graeme did not require much response from his listener, for James heard only half of what he said, through the pain that gripped him. The headaches came more and more frequently now, until at times he wanted to bash his head against the wall in search of blissful unconsciousness. Graeme, watching him, stopped his flow of words. "James, what's the matter? You look terrible." "Why, thank you, cousin. I am glad to know you don't feel the need to flatter me." "You know what I mean. You look as if you haven't slept in a week." "I probably haven't." He gave Graeme a thin smile. "I've had a little trouble sleeping lately." "I'd wager it's more than that. You've lost weight as well. Are you ill? What is it?" "Apparently the doctors can't agree on that. I've discovered recently the true depth of medical ignorance." Graeme frowned. "How many doctors have you seen? How long has this been going on? Does Aunt Tessa know about it?" "God, Graeme, what in the world do you think my mother could do?" "Point taken, but really, James, you can't just sit here and suffer." "Sadly, I have discovered that I can." "You should go see Dr. Hinsdale." "Who? You mean you're Miss Hinsdale's father?" "She's not my Miss